Aloha! Welcome back to the Anxiety Coaches Podcast. I'm your host and coach, Gina Ryan, and I'm so happy to be with you again today as we consider the many ways to bring your mind and body back to its natural peace and calm. In today's episode, I'm wanting to share with you 9 different ways that you can reduce your stress. We talked about the importance of responding to our stress in a healthy way. And so I want to give you guys, some ideas of where you can actually start to make some changes that maybe you can eliminate some stress that will, for the long term, really give you a break, because you won't have it popping up over and over again, needing to use those little Band-Aids that don't really do anything but give you maybe a 10-minute or a 2-day breather, but it pops back up again. Let's look at some ways that we can really reduce our stress. We really do have the power to reduce our stress in many different ways. And so today I'm focusing not so much on your thinking and your responding, but more about your outer world and where you might be able to make changes to lighten your stress load from your environment, from your world. So many new and extra demands on our schedules with the current changes in the world right now. It's been an interesting year, 2020, in so many different ways. And changes can be very stressful for people, and especially when there's a lot of negativity, a lot of things related to our health that people are being concerned about, and changes in our lives that we never thought we were going to have to make. And here we are, all doing it and all changing at the same time. And not only can we decide what we can change up in our own world to keep us on balance, but we can learn to actually respond in a way that, like we talked about in the last episode, where if something is outside your circle of influence, you have to decide to let it go. You have to learn to be able to get more acceptance, so you are not adding fuel to your already anxious fire. So that's many things that are happening in the world right now we don't have control over. Some things we do. So we have to decide within ourselves what we can change in that outer world and what we cannot. And so many of these things with COVID have us having to accept changes we never thought we would have to accept. So keep in mind, there are some things you can change in life and some things you cannot. Focus on the things you have influence over. Now, with that said, I want you to go to your journal later. Many of you are probably listening as you're walking or driving or whatever, but if you have your journal handy, I want you to draw a pie shape. So a nice circle, and cut it up into 8 sections, 8 pieces of pie there, and label each one on this pie chart. And you can start with these headings. Of course, you can always come up with your own and change them, or you could add or subtract. Health, money, spiritual life, personal development, fun and recreation, environment, contribution, and relationships. So we're going to look at what I'm talking about today through this lens of those kind of sections in our lives where, there's so many different things we need to focus on. And this is a good place for me to talk about this. People talk about balance, right? Want to have a balanced life. Well, that does not mean, in my personal opinion, that all of your 8 slices of pie are equal. That just doesn't seem possible. Sometimes our health is going to require more of our time and energy, and that slice of pie will be bigger. Sometimes our relationships or family life that could be included in there will be bigger, depending what chapter in our life we are at. And also, how our own health, wealth, and happiness is panning out. So Don't seek to have everything equal. Just seek to have harmony. I'd always like to look at it more that way, not balance so much, but harmony. Sometimes we have to give more attention to one place or another. That doesn't mean that we're off track completely. It means that things are in flux, and that's how life is. But as long as we can keep checking back in with ourselves and seeing, where do I need to make adjustments, like we talked about in the last episode? Where can I respond in a different way so that I am not needing to do the same thing over and over again? And that brings me to the 9 tips I have here, or the 9 ways actually that you can look at to reduce your stress. See if one or more of these might be something that you could work on so that you can actually not just respond to the stress differently, but eliminate it. So the first one that I have is legal, tax, or financial problems that must be resolved. Just saying that felt like a heavy load to me. That feels like, yep, that would be stressful to have legal, tax, or financial problems that are looming, that are still needing to be taken care of or resolved. And so again, like we talked about in the last episode, you want to do what you can. And then when you know that you have done everything within your power for that moment, and this is where anxious people, all of us that lean that way, have difficulty because we want it all solved right now. We don't want to just do what we can do now and let it go, rest. It may be that there's more for us to do tomorrow, but we kind of want to have it all wrapped up with a pretty bow today. And so that's where we get ourselves into trouble. So if you have legal, tax, or financial problems that need to be resolved, do what you can for them today. And if each day you take the steps necessary, you can get this off your plate eventually. The second one is bills and paperwork that can be delegated or automated. Now, this is a good one because often we can, and maybe most of you already do this, where all your bills are paid online, so you don't have like we had back in the day where we had to write 900 checks and put them in envelopes and send them off. But there's still paperwork often involved with stuff that comes in the mail, asking for our attention. Not as much as it used to be, but those things still kind of leak in. And because we don't get them as often anymore, sometimes they just pile up in that inbox and they never get taken care of. So just like you clean out your inbox on your email, do the same for the mail and bills and paperwork that come into your life otherwise. Oh, and so back to the bills and paperwork for a second. If you have things that you can automate, like paying online, I just think that's a no-brainer. That takes it off your plate as long as you have good bookkeeping and keep track of what's coming out of your checkbook. But also delegating. Is there somebody else in your family that's good at that or enjoys that, and you could delegate it to them? Or maybe you have an assistant or somebody that works for you that can handle those things for you. Please use those resources. So the third one is cleaning the house and or the office. And this one will make you feel like $1,000,000 if you can do it. Just getting the house cleaned out, taking care of those nagging little household chores that you put off. It really uses so much more of your energy and adds to your stress and your anxiety when you put it off. It's easier to just get it done. And maybe for that, having a routine where there's a certain day of the week where those types of chores get taken care of. Because then you don't have to think about it. If it's bugging you, you see the dust bunny, you just say, well, I do that on Saturday morning, so I know I'm getting to it. So it won't bother you so much as if you see it and you have no plan to tackle it and take care of it. It will nag at you. Believe me, I know these are not life-altering issues, but it's like dying from a thousand paper cuts. It will nag at you. Don't let that happen. These are stressors on us, and these little ones that we can take care of are within our power. So why not do that and feel the lightness that you can feel after you take care of it. The fourth one is to cut out volunteer work unless it is directly helping you, your business, or your soul. Just take that one at face value. It's wonderful that we help other people and organizations and that we do things that are important in our communities. And often we sign up for things and then we sign up for more things and then we offer our help in more places. And by then we have a full plate. So take a good look at if there are places in your life that you can cut out the volunteer work, unless it is really helping you and feeding your soul. The fifth one is to decrease time with individuals who only bring you stress. This is just like the volunteer work one, where sometimes we just collect friendships or people in our lives and we forget to cull and let go of relationships that are no longer serving us or them. So take a good look at that and just make the changes that you need to make and decrease your time with people who are bringing you stress. So the sixth way that you can reduce your stress that I have jotted down here for you is to find someone to take care of your errands and routine daily tasks. Now, this is beyond what some of us are able to do, but if you have it available to you, if there is someone who can help you, whether it's a family person or someone you hire, use those resources again. Find yourself being able to delegate some of your errands and your daily tasks. This can save you a lot of just putting it off, making the list and not taking care of it, not running the errands. And you know what? If you're someone who is in a high risk for COVID-19, definitely do this. Don't go out any more than you need to at this point in time, depending where you live, of course. But being able to ask for help or hire help if that's available in your area and in your life. Find a way to consolidate some of these errands and daily tasks and make it easier for the person who is helping you. The seventh one that I have written down is to declutter unnecessary items from your life. So we talked about decreasing time with people who bring us stress. Now I want you to actually declutter the unnecessary items from your life. We carry around so much stuff. I know because I have moved a number of times. I've made a gigantic move where I closed up a house and a business. And when you're going through that process, you can't believe how strange it is to see the things that you have collected. I'm saying the things that I collected. It's kind of interesting, and it was a really good teacher for me because I don't collect things anymore. I actually can see the stress that it brings when you have to clear it out. But here's the other piece of that. Carrying all this stuff around with you, even if it's nicely stacked up in a garage or an attic or a basement or all three plus a storage unit, you are carrying this energetically. It is tiring. It is stressful, and you have to keep track of it, and you have to pay for it if you have to store it outside your home, and you have to see it if you have to store it inside your home. So declutter these unnecessary items from your life. It can be a fun project. It's a huge project, but it can be fun if you take it with the right attitude. So, look around the house, look around your life. I mean, we even collect big things, cars, boats. It can get out of control. Sporting equipment, right? Check it out. What do I really want? How can I pare this down to my absolute favorite things? And it's kind of an exciting change because when it's done and you have let go of those things, believe me, you will feel the space and the lightness from letting those things go. And another piece of this that can be wonderful is you can move them along to people who need them or people who want them. When I did close up my house that I had lived in for 23 years, I had a, first floor, second floor, attic, basement, the whole thing. And after it was all cleaned out and I had we took out all the personal things we needed to be keeping for ourselves, myself and the children. And when I had the estate sale and the woman, I was in Hawaii when she ran it. And when Jan finished the sale, she sent me a beautiful letter, outlining how it all went and an inventory of everything. But she said the thing that I didn't get to see because I wasn't there was the joy that it brought people to purchase those things that they may never have been able to buy. She saw a lot of young families coming through and they were buying some of the bigger items that we had. Like, that was awesome. Of course, I made some money on it, and that's important too, but it was important that the things got moved along and they didn't get thrown in a dump. That people got to purchase these things and they were new to them and it was something they were looking for. So in that way, we added some joy to the world and people got to experience something new for themselves at a great price. And I didn't have to carry those things around in my personal inventory anymore. They were gone and I was free. So consider decluttering unnecessary items from your life. And finally, I have last two here is number 8, eliminate promises that simply cannot be met. I think that speaks for itself also. Just eliminate things that you have agreed to that you cannot fulfill. It's important to face the music, so to speak. Just get it over with. If there needs to be a meeting or some conversations with people, but eliminate those promises that you simply cannot fulfill. And number 9, examine your current work situation and determine if it brings more negative than positive to your life. That will mean everything from, of course, it has its financial rewards, but what other positive things does this job bring to you? What other negative things does this thing bring to you, this job? Really take a moment to look over, maybe make a list of pros and cons, because we often do it for long enough that we just figure this is just what I'm going to do day in, day out. That doesn't have to be how it is. And of course, making a change is huge and that will take a lot of effort, but examine it. Just examining it will give you peace and space because you are not just living by rote. You have actually taken a moment to say, well, I'm choosing this because of X, Y, Z, and we'll all have different reasons that we choose certain things, but it's the point of taking a moment to examine it and make the choice from our conscious mind that will help us to feel lighter and take some stress out of our lives. I so appreciate you being here. I feel like we're just talking. If you want to say something back, you know the email, anxietycoachespodcast@gmail.com. And now for today's quote. All beings want to be happy, yet so very few know how. It is out of ignorance that any of us cause suffering for ourselves or for others. And that's from Sharon Salzberg. I'll be back in a few more days with another podcast. Until then, be well and aloha.